boy, this is going to be a fun party. Considering both these players have played each other so much. I cannot recall how many times we usually see this in the semis or the quarters, so this is gonna be exciting to see. And for the most part, Faiman with the very, very vegetable-like structure versus Leal running some spice here. 𝗂𝗶𝗆 in the mid.
Yeah, 𝗂𝗶𝗆 as well. And hey, Faiman taking a bit out of 𝗏𝗏's bulk from the last tournament. 𝗏𝗏 found a lot of success with this 𝗏𝗏crane. Such a good crystal damage pivot. And it looks like our #1 seed Faiman also finding a whole lot of success with this 𝗏𝗏crane. We don't know if it's exactly all due to this 𝗏𝗏crane. Of course, that's just one little niche Temtem he has for those crystal Temtems and for the fire Temtems. You can't forget, punishes Riken, punishes 𝗂𝗶𝗆. So we'll see. He is our #1 seed for a reason. And as Blue said, quarterfinals, let's go into it.
I mean, for sure. To be honest, this matchup is kind of retro, to be honest, you know? I feel like someone said, you know what, let's play some retro games, guys. They're like, yeah, they start bringing out the 𝗏𝗏crane, the big epic, the 𝗂𝗶𝗆s. It's just a blast from the past, right? Saku as well, right? Even though, you know, Saku came into fruition way later as well. Back in the day, Saku was more prevalent. So it's just fun to see these Tems come back into the meta every so often, especially since it's been I wouldn't say not the fact that they're meta removed, but more so they're much less what's that word? They're much less sought out when you're deciding a squad nowadays.
Yeah, definitely. You know, something very interesting about Faiman's lineup. If you ask any comp player, hey, what's the meta these days? Everyone, or 80% of people would say Quetzaleno neutral Temtems. There is not a single Quetzaleno user on Faiman's squad. There is not a single neutral Temtem as well. So Faiman doing it with some good old salad Temtems. Let's see what he decides to do. He only has 6 seconds. Faiman thinking very hard about it, but decides to pick up this 𝗏𝗏 here.
Yeah, I mean, Faiman's trying to prove you can eat healthy to beat the Quetzaleno. So for sure, we'll have to see how he establishes this. For the most part, the way I'm seeing how this is gonna roll out is going to be a 𝗏𝗏 most likely, or a 𝗏𝗏 to try and control this. Of course, you have to consider as well the Kinu or Saku. You might want to pick those up before they get banned, because once you lose the Kinu or the Snrplat, you then lose your 𝗰𝗵𝗆 potential. And I don't think Saku is going to be carrying this one home, especially with the 𝗂𝗶𝗆 still in the back pocket.
Yeah, well said. It might very well be this 𝗂𝗏, and it looks like it is. I was thinking potentially the Snrplat felt kind of good too, just some good physical damage. That way you don't allow a mana's buff. I feel like with this 𝗂𝗏, yeah, you really pressure out that Kinu as well, but I'm a little bit nervous. Leal does potentially have a turn 1 mana's buff in store for us today. Uppercut plus a Toxic Ink won't be killing 𝗏𝗏 with a +1 defense from this Kinu. So if he does want to go big, or start big rather, 𝗏𝗏 looking like he has a free mana's buff tier 1. Not incredibly free, because it could be a P jab, and following that, it will bring 𝗏𝗏 down in the long run. But hey, 𝗏𝗏chi does decide to get picked up for the side of Faiman. And hey, Blue, are we gonna get the 𝗶𝗶𝗆 here in our quarterfinals?
I mean, this might be the game, and there you go. He needs to deal with the 𝗏𝗏 and the 𝗂𝗏 somehow, right? With the Leal being banned. 𝗂𝗶𝗆 was really the only choice here for some physical damage dealing. Of course, maybe you could argue that's not necessary, but against a Kinu, and you just want that security. You want to have that sort of damage. You don't want to get stuck with just special attack, because then Faiman can just play around it. So fair enough pickups here. I don't think Naga's gonna be picked up. This is probably the second worst Naga game I've seen, especially since 𝗂𝗶𝗆 and 𝗏𝗏 love to play fast. It's just inappropriate for this matchup.
Yeah, well said. I would imagine against that Snrplat with the front whip and a 𝗂𝗏 with the slow poke as it is, Naga's does get pushed back to the bench, so it is the 𝗏𝗏 to get picked up. But 𝗏𝗏 doesn't really do too much either, so I know why it was a tough choice for Leal. Well, here we have it, everyone. Quarterfinals time. Number 1 seed Faiman going head to head against our number 8 seed, barely squeezing in. Well, there was a lot of great talent in today's tournament, and Leal was the one that rose above the rest into our number 8 seed. So quarterfinals, game 1. Let's see what these tamers do have in store for us. Keeping things rather straightforward, 𝗵𝗂𝗃 could just go for a P-jab on this 𝗲𝗏 turn. And 𝗂𝗏𝗵, I'm wondering if he doubles 𝗲𝗏 or does he want to go for the 𝗃𝗏 here?
Yeah, for sure. Both players have a very stable opening here. Faiman, of course, has a lot of damage right away. But Leal, of course, you still have that Magnus buff in the pocket if he really wants to gamble for it. Of course, the Faiman all-in may potentially be on the cards, but it's never quite that simple. But Leal, this is his chance, right? Faiman number 1, Leal number 8 position. He has to make something happen at least, because honestly, I do think Faiman has a way better chance the longer this game goes.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And you know, 𝗃𝗏 doesn't really look like he has too much to do here on Leal's side. So I'm going to think the 𝗃𝗃, just to have some good win damage against double of these toxic for the turn 2, doesn't feel all that bad. Even at the very worst, you can just bring 𝗃𝗏 back out to get another 𝗃𝗏 buff on 𝗲𝗏. But no, instead 𝗲𝗏 will be the one retreating. So hey, Leal preserving that 𝗲𝗏 for a bit of the end game.
Uppercut comes through, and solid beta burst to follow. So definitely predicting the 𝗲𝗏 swap out here completely, actually. Read perfectly by Faiman and completely guarantees the 𝗃𝗏 kill. Unless that's the fastest pig alive, that 𝗃𝗏 is straight up dead.
Yeah, and what a beautifully read play from Faiman, knowing that 𝗲𝗏 had no business, even with one 𝗃𝗏 buff. Faiman feeling the urge to go after 𝗃𝗏, and look at that, it is going down. Unless it's going to revitalize itself, there is nothing the 𝗃𝗏 can do. Even if it did revitalize, if Faiman just doubles one more time, even with just a simple toxic ink one more time, it will be going down. Unless the 𝗃𝗃 wants to somehow save it with a bamboozle, and the 𝗵𝗂𝗃 of course attacks the pig. So there is a potential way to save 𝗃𝗏 for potentially one more 𝗃𝗏 buff, but that sounds like a bit more of a hassle. Maybe something like a beta burst tornado on the 𝗵𝗂𝗃 accomplishes a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. 𝗂𝗏𝗵 gets swapped out, actually. Maybe perhaps letting nature run its course here with the 𝗃𝗏, and wants to get the Snrplat settling set up right away. Turbo choreography applied to both the 𝗃𝗃 and the 𝗃𝗏. So understanding 𝗃𝗏 might just get straight up eliminated here, and that is for sure. Not letting bamboozle come through or anything like that. Speaking of which, actually, bamboozles itself, the 𝗃𝗃 protected for a round, but I'm not sure if Faiman will be too sad about that. You can just ignore the pig completely here. There's not much pressure to apply.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the pig of these days no longer with those hypnosis, so the speed is only there for that instant bamboozle before any of Faiman's Temtems. And you know, Leal has a decent lineup, or a decent matchup with this Sapphire. Sapphire could gun down this Snrplat relatively easy, and I mean, he might have to eat a P-jab from this 𝗵𝗂𝗃. However, 𝗃𝗃 is there at +2 speed, couldn't just get those bamboozles going. But Faiman could just pop it with something like a WCL into P-jab. But we'll see. I mean, a couple options here. It looks okay. I mean, Sapphire looks a bit better than the 𝗲𝗏 and 𝗃𝗏𝗽. That's a lot of physical damage heading 𝗲𝗏's direction.
I think what Leal is trying to consider here is that if he puts in Sapphire, you know exactly what's going to happen. Snrplat's going to get swapped out for a 𝗂𝗏𝗵 or a 𝗵𝗏𝗍, and then you right away start to lose tempo because you're like, damn it, now I have to just swap out. So 𝗃𝗏𝗽 is basically the mid-range here. Basically, it's an in-between that says, okay, I'm going to prepare for everything, expect for the worst, prepare for the best, essentially. But the problem now is that 𝗃𝗏𝗽 isn't actually here to do damage. He's just here to buy time, maybe lock in the 𝗵𝗂𝗃 so that the 𝗃𝗃 can secure the kill. But the uppercut's still going to do some damage. The water cutting lily is not going to do half damage. It's neutral. So 𝗃𝗏𝗽's going to take so much of a beating here if Faiman has that kind of damage in him.
Yeah, we'll see. Of course, the Bamboozle is always something to consider. It is at +2 speed, most likely going first. And the Plague 3-power play will go first, as you said. Gonna be locking in this 𝗵𝗂𝗃 potentially for a big tornado to take it down.
Uppercut does follow through, does a decent chunk of damage, but Revitalize actually, instead of WCL, very smartly played so that the tornado wouldn't do enough, but the Relax instead puts the 𝗵𝗂𝗃 and Snrplat to sleep. And both the Tems are invulnerable on Leal's side. So, and Leal has a free turn.
Wait, I might have missed that. Was that a friendship pick? Wait.
No, that was an evasion.
Oh yeah, the Bamboozle. Forgive me. Yeah, the Bamboozle keeping it from going to sleep. I was about to say, so yes, big relaxed play. Now +2 speed, making it normal prowess. Still didn't go off before Faiman's Temtems, but now Faiman getting caught snoozing. So what does he have in mind?
Turbo choreography, the 𝗏𝗏 and the 𝗵𝗶𝗃 make it faster. I wouldn't be against it actually. If you get the Bamboozle so fast that you can put it on the 𝗏𝗏 right away, you can save yourself from a lot of pressure. But it depends. So the swap in for the Kinu, 𝗏𝗂𝗃 is obviously still asleep, and the Stonewall is actually applied on the 𝗏𝗏, making it such a beast. Look at it. 3 defense +2 special defense. A madness buff is all but guaranteed at this point. And yes, there's beta burst. Yes, there's uppercut, but uppercut's gonna go first. That Bamboozle's gonna block that.
Exactly right. And I haven't seen it too much. We haven't seen Faiman's Kinu come out, so we don't know if this 𝗵𝗂𝗃 is a bit speedier just to get those P-jabs going. But yeah, one of those attacks will be mitigated. Obviously, you want to mitigate the 𝗵𝗂𝗃 with that Bamboozle. So ideally, the most ideal for Faiman is Kinu, or the most ideal is the 𝗵𝗂𝗃 pops the Bamboozle and then Kinu with beta burst. But I don't think Kinu wants to stay in here. I mean, the most it can do is maybe Hypno. You can't Hypno a +2 speed. Yeah, Kinu doesn't have too much to do here. Maybe Faiman's thinking about the next play, something like a Snrplat. But you know what? Leal has found a perfect pocket right here to squeeze in that madness buff, as you said. And yeah, right now, sure, after the Stonewall, there is very little this 𝗵𝗂𝗃 can do. +3 defense, it is massive. So let's take a look, because it looks like a rather free madness buff indeed. And that's going to be turning the tables in the favor of Leal quite heavily. Barnchi, Kinu, Snrplat don't want to eat too many of those. Not even the 𝗵𝗂𝗃 wants to eat at least 2 of those. 𝗵𝗂𝗃 should be going down decently easy, especially if it followed by a tornado or something like that too.
Right. Faiman is probably trying to consider what plan he can go for here. This is all but guaranteed. Like, I mean, we read this basically at the start of our conversation. Madness buff into the Bamboozle. Madness buff no longer removing Bamboozle when it is used. Hypnosis to follow through. Just as destabilize 𝗵𝗶𝗃. Just remove that from the game. But does energy drink? So not at all. I say nay. Big ol' pork. The uppercut gets completely blocked as well. And the 𝗏𝗏, my god, I mean, you let him load that shotgun up, he's gonna blast your face off.
Yeah, and we're looking here. It is indeed a sweatband 𝗏𝗏. So, man, raid boss online. +3 defense, +4 special defense, +2 special attack. Man, how is Faiman gonna overcome this behemoth of a Temtem? We will find out, because this is a lot of questions right here. Faiman is thinking about it, but this 𝗏𝗏 is ready to go. And you know, it's rare that 𝗏𝗏 doesn't even get hurt after a madness buff. So well done to that +2 speed Kinu.
For sure. Crystal Spike to follow. This Kinu's gonna get Thanos snapped out of the galaxy. And in fact, it does. Absolutely destroyed. Scavenger, a procs, and look at that Bamboozle. And you know what, plus... You know what? It'd be very funny is we get a madness buff again. Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. Let us fucking do it again. Let's go.
Yeah, imagine. I mean, it is chilling at 90%. This 𝗵𝗃𝗃 seemingly has infinite amount of Bamboozle. So Bamboozle here, Bamboozle there. So it is quite insane. But this 𝗏𝗏 looking to do God's work here today. You know, and most likely looking at this Snrplat, the 𝗵𝗂𝗃 is at +1. It's running out of stamina. So yes, the Snrplat gonna be catching the big hands from 𝗏𝗏, about 54% there.
For sure. Uppercut does come through. It does 25% damage, which isn't horrible, but it is pretty bad when you're put to sleep and the 𝗏𝗯 gets time to recover stamina with a Sweatman. And plus, I wanted to say, actually, imagine if 𝗵𝗵𝗶 buffed and the crystals in 𝗏𝗯's hand turned into like a gun or something. You know, it just transformed into like a like a sword or like a gun. He just locks and loaded, just shoots. Temtem
yeah,
down.
there we go. We're gonna go ahead and send that to 𝗏𝗏𝗃 to start working on it.
Yes, sir. But yeah, I mean, this is just giving me such a oldie but goldie flashback. The Lash 𝗵𝗶𝗃 classic, literally as classic as you can get, almost as good as Gyalis Kinu, right? This is probably the second most horrifying crystal monster pairing you can get. Caliban swapped in here. Gonna probably try and set up for Strangle to at least contain the beast for another turn, but Bamboozle on the 𝗏𝗯 makes that impossible.
Yeah, man, this 𝗵𝗶𝗃 has been doing so much work this entire time. Kinu with the noble sacrifice early on to get that turbo, paying off so much dividends time and time again here in turn 9, doing so well. And yeah, this 𝗏𝗯, the 𝗧𝗏 does retreat now, but hey, look at all that stamina. What is going on? 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗏 ready to pop off one more time. And 60% here, 60% there. This Caliban won't be staying around too much longer.
𝗵𝗶𝗃 got some rest there. Didn't really have time to do as much as it would have hoped. 𝗏𝗯 is actually starting to take a beating now. I'm surprised there was no Strangle. Would have given Faiman another turn clearance to be dropping a Rushul. Perhaps not in the arsenal. But yeah, Leal, of course, still has to be careful. 𝗏𝗯 is not as invincible as it used to be. A lot of nerfs to his kid, but the concession comes through. He just understands now. There's no way. Faiman gives it up. They were already in the draft, in fact, first. 𝗏𝗶𝗴 banned here for Faiman, and 𝗏𝗏𝗃 banned for Leal. So, already a mix-up, because Faiman's starting with the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 instead of his... Oh, well, this time he gets to mix it up a little bit, at least for now. They say deciding to stay with blue side as well, which is interesting. Right, some other players have preferences because the drafting is now a little bit more balanced. So I'm not insanely surprised that that the 𝗏𝗏𝗃, rather that Faiman has a preference here. But wow, Leal, wow, that is the bravest pairing you could have possibly chosen.
Yeah, definitely understand why he did decide to ban the 𝗏𝗏𝗃. 𝗏𝗏𝗃 threatens out this Sapphire quite easily, so does get the ban. And now the 𝗏𝗯 and 𝗵𝗶𝗃 left in the back line, potentially able to catch another ban here. Caliban, quite a good Temtem to really mitigate that damage. However, I think Leal is looking at the damage towards 𝗏𝗏𝗃. Actually, wait, I confused that. Faiman banned the 𝗏𝗏𝗃, so Faiman does have a 𝗏𝗏𝗃. So yeah, the 𝗏𝗏𝗃 still looking very strong into the Sapphire. So we'll see. I mean, turn 1 looking quite dicey. I don't know if you can do a free heat up, right? Because a plague trapping the Sapphire. Well,
all I know is Faiman has just lost his option for a slower pace game. With Kinu being banned here, Salads are gonna have to raise themselves, and I don't see something that can stonewall, at least not traditionally speaking. Nor do I see any natural buffing moves aside from Shy Shield. So Faiman will have to kind of play on the fast pace, but I'm not sure how well that will go. Of course, again, as I mentioned, Faiman actually has a really amazing upper hand here on the first turn. So Leal has to play for the second turn, unless he wants to get DV'd second turn, in which case it would just be a disaster.
Yeah, I can't remember. One of these tamers did indeed have a snare on their Sapphire, so this might be the tamer. I don't like calling the items just in case some of these guys are listening, but I can't recall. One of these tamers did indeed have a snare. It might have been Leal. I can't recall exactly. But yeah, to your point, Blue, the only other move would be like Bark Shield from the Saku. Not a lot of people run it, but it is another option. So we'll see. 𝗏𝗯𝗃 and 𝗏𝗏𝗃 does get picked up on the side of Leal, and final Temtem for Faiman, looking to bring things back around in our quarterfinals. The Bornji and the Saku rounding things out.
I was gonna say I'm concerned because this is basically consistency versus straight out brute force. Faiman has a lot of very stable control Tems, but Leal, I don't think he's here for a good time. He's here for a good time, not a long time. Plus.
That is right. Yeah, and starting right out the gate, of course, Spectator going on to the Sapphire. So usually we see that turn 1 heat up from the Sapphire, but potentially a bit too much pressure. Not exactly turn 1 pressure, but potential turn 2 pressure. If this play connects, the Sapphire will be trapped. So exactly as we see, Leal swapping in for this Yowler. Is it a chamomile? It is. Okay, so toxic inks or these plagues won't be doing anything to the Yowler.
Kino getting swapped out as well for the Volerend. So, as I mentioned, playing for the second turn, Leal had a lot of good swaps, and ooh, a Lifeful Sap right away, and the Toxic Ink completely nullified. So, both, actually, I say both players had a decent start, but in reality, Faiman really wanted to get the tempo going, but didn't quite catch the mark, unfortunately, here. So, Leal has probably the biggest advantage by this point. Faiman will have to bring it back with some clever reads here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so impressive how one turn really changes the tides of battle. So interesting enough, the Volerend decides to retreat, but oh, no wonder why. Buffing up Yowler, already one of the thickest Temtems in our games and one of the heaviest hitting as well. So buffing up Kinu, or rather buffing up Yowler, a fantastic option. Let's see if it wants to go stronger with something like a show off.
Ooh, Dust Vortex is thrown out, so doing as much damage as possible, but the show off will come out as you mentioned, plus. So, Faiman playing a little bit safe, swapped in Saku just in case a Feather Gatling was to follow, or if the Volerend decided to stay, but not quite the case. So Faiman, once again, he's doing damage, but it's not the kind of damage you would look at and say, hey, Leal has to start attacking now. Leal actually has way too much time to be getting away with, because again, he's running like 4 damage dealers at Akinu, right? You would think he would be swinging for the fences now, but Faiman is actually letting him do what he wants, and if this goes any longer, I don't think that it's recoverable.
Yeah, we will see, of course, 𝗧𝗲𝗺𝗃𝗃's online, and a ৱ𝗏𝗏, there is no world it's going to be able to survive a +1 attack Yowler coming its direction. So most likely thinking about retreating the ৱ𝗏𝗏, but alright, Sapphire does come out, maybe thinking that the ৱ𝗏𝗏 will be retreating, but ৱ𝗏𝗏 stays in and just goes for damage on the Yowler.
Incredibly brave. The tornado has to be the be-all end-all here. If the Yowler dies, that would be massive, but so is the big fat butt of the Yowler. Will survive that tornado and hibernates. Oh my god. Talk about... Oh wow.
Yeah, talk about sustainability. Yowler staying alive, no problem whatsoever. I mean, I see why Faiman attacked into it, most likely reading the hibernate play, but that is so bold. I would have imagined an 𝗧𝗲𝗺𝗃𝗃 coming into ৱ𝗏𝗏 by now. But yeah, Leal preserving that HP is still around 54%, but I think 100% right here, right now, 𝗧𝗲𝗺𝗃𝗃 incoming. However, Dust Vortex is online, and I've seen Dust Vortex pretty much one-shot Sapphires in the past. Is Faiman ready to sacrifice a ৱ𝗏𝗏 for the Sapphire? I feel like that's a decent trade there.
I mean, I think what Faiman is considering here is that if Leal is fast enough, he will lose 2 Tems, and Leal will not lose a single Tem. Quetzaleno is prioritized buff, and, well, actually, no, Yowler doesn't move that fast, so he will get a hit off. But that hit off is quite impactful. Saku's actually going to live here. The DV will trade, and as you mentioned, will it take out the Sapphire? No. So 50-50 split trade, but the Saku doesn't get a chance. So Saku will be removed without being able to assist the ৱ𝗏𝗏, which is still in gunshot range of an 𝗧𝗲𝗺𝗃𝗃.
Yeah, and so impressive. So yeah, just prioritizing gunning down the Saku, and as you said, Quetzaleno plus the Savage Suplex does indeed take it down. And you know, of course, the Sapphire had that +1 special defense, so not going too low from that Dust Vortex. And looking at the HP, it looks like even without it, it wouldn't have gone all the way down. Sapphire with his War Drum helping out Leal a little bit as well. 8% damage to be exact. Is now the turn for the heavy hitting 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗴 onto 𝗃𝗶𝗶. It's finally running out of stamina, so most likely having a swamp. But Faiman thinking about it, what Temtem can he bring in now? I mean, 𝗃𝗀𝗀𝗃, as we're seeing now, feels kind of good, but Sapphire kind of pressures it out as well, so we'll take a look.
For sure, Sapphire's low, so maybe Wind Burst is being considered here to just try and kill it. At this point, if you do think Leal's gonna 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗶𝗴, you might as well swap in 𝗧𝗃. I think 𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗃 is solid here. Also opens the way for Turbo Choreography if that was available. But no, very brave 𝗂𝗀𝗺𝗺 here into the 𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗃, and the plague blocks down the 𝗧𝗲. Actually, this 𝗧𝗲 is dead. It's gonna get trapped in on top of a beta burst. But no, the 𝗃𝗶𝗴 does not have handcuffs. Perhaps it has been snared. The 𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗃 is the handcuffs.
Nice little combo right there, but the comebacker value does eliminate the 𝗃𝗶𝗴. So yeah, tripping us up a little bit, adding exhaustion with the plague, and then the 𝗃𝗀𝗃 with the heavy hitting beta burst, trapping the 𝗧𝗲. So yeah, you know, Faiman doing a good job at taking this big threat of a 𝗧𝗲 down. One single energy manipulation does bring it down. And yeah, I believe Leal did the right play. Sapphire already did his job. Sapphire was mainly recruited to gun down the Saku, and now that the Saku's dead, Sapphire is just willing to take some free damage, because looking at the back line, Voldrin, Vlash, Kiinu, they look really strong into the remaining of Faiman's Tem. So yeah, Faiman is just, Leal's taking pure advantage of these 3 prio plays coming from that neutral synergy. So, you know, 𝗂𝗀𝗺𝗺 did about that 30% Looking at it one more time. Except Tornado's online, but that gives Faiman the option. Does he want to close it down? Actually, no, I guess 𝗧𝗃 can close out 𝗧𝗲. So yeah, maybe doesn't want to give Sapphire a chance. But a 𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗃 outspeeding a Sapphire, that doesn't really sound about right. So I think 𝗂𝗀𝗺𝗺 will be going off.
𝗂𝗀𝗺𝗺 thrown out. Sapphire overexerting for that, and the EM to follow. EM was slower than the Sapphire Leno. That would have probably killed the Sapphire actually if it had connected, but unfortunately no cigar. Uppercut though, gonna secure the kill on 𝗧𝗲, which is at least something, but this 𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗃 is already getting dangerously low, and the Voldrin's still not dead.
Yeah, maybe just didn't want 2 free swap outs, you know, something like a Vlash Kiinu coming out. So yeah, keeping the Sapphire in, it did overexert. So not too shabby. Not too shabby. Sapphire won't be able to do anything. And now with 𝗧𝗲 gone, the only Temtem able to get the synergy will be with that Vlash. And speaking of this red/brown/tan devil Vlash coming through, ready to pressure this 𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗃 so much so that Faiman thinking about retreating into that 𝗂𝗶𝗃 back line. So we'll see. I mean, 𝗧𝗃 also retaliates the pressure with the good old P-jab into uppercut, or just double uppercut indeed too.
Man, they really need to give 𝗧𝗃 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗃. Like, this Sapphire is so close to dead. The 𝗃𝗀𝗃's actually gonna bite the bullet here. Concedes that kill. And now he's down to 2 toxic Temps against the Vlash. Sorry, not Vlash, but a Voldrin. I am very concerned to how this will play out, because now problems aplenty here for Faiman.
Yeah, very true. Faiman, final 2 Temtems. Man, Leal playing this game perfectly here in game 2. Kiinu's still healthy. Voldrin is still healthy. And hey, single-handedly, Kiinu and Voldrin win that matchup. So Vlash and Sapphire just looking for some free damage. And here goes the crystal spikes to 100, all the way down 67, about 32. And the 𝗂𝗂𝗺𝗃𝗃 keeping that at bay, but a little damage on the burn. So this uppercut won't be chunking all that much.
Oh, wow. That Vlash got absolutely hammered. So he'll have some fight in him, for sure.
Yeah, not too bad. Now I believe the bird wants to come in, and just the Kiinu buff alone will do so much work for the side of Luke. I mean, Faiman has a lot of healthy Temtems, but so does Leal in that back line. And it sounds pretty obvious, unless he just wants to keep Sapphire in for the final amount of damage. It just didn't really do too much. It did about 10% on the Mashuk, or it did like 15% or something.
Yeah, I think Sapphire's being completely ignored here by Faiman. He understands that Sapphire's just here to look pretty at this point. It's already done basically all it can. It's all about the Volarant now. It's a Volarant game. If anything, the Sapphire is a walking Ember bot just to make sure that the Mashuk doesn't do as much damage as possible. But the tenderness, very smart play to weaken Feather Gatling to at least increase the sustain for both 𝗂𝗶𝗴 and Mashuk. But look at that! That was reduced and it still did so much damage. Toxic Ink to secure the kill on Sapphire. Finally doing so. But this is getting real dangerous. Hang on, Plus. That is an anaerobic Volarant.
Yeah,
there is a big shot in the dark.
That is right. Yeah, it did Feather Gatling and it didn't increase in speed. So that indeed is the anaerobic Volarant. So yeah, a bit tough. So we're not going to be seeing those big hyperkinetic strikes, but 𝗂𝗶𝗴 most likely not staying in too much longer. I think just base speed HKS with the talk about base speed. Forget the base speed. We're going +2/+2. Not too shabby here. When you get the bonus damage here. Huge.
Yeah, the 𝗂𝗶𝗴 was key to maybe getting rid of Kinu, so this is much easier. The tenderness, of course, trying to buy time, but it's just not enough. The Mashuk is countered too hard, and Leal will be taking game against Faiman. Absolutely well done.
He's working with.
I have no idea.
It's just Tsubaki CW.
I found it.
You got it? Okay. So yeah, from what we heard in the chat, this is just game number 2. So Tsubaki did fall to the hands of 𝗏𝗂𝗃 in game 1, going down to a 1v1 𝗂𝗀𝗺 versus 𝗂𝗀𝗺 at the end, and 𝗏𝗂𝗃 squeezing the victory out. So Tsubaki, one more win and he will be taken out of the tournament, and likewise for 𝗏𝗂𝗃, one more win and he will be progressing forward into our semifinals. Let's take a look at that opening turn. I mean, it almost feels like Tsubaki has a lot of damage potential. I guess 𝗧𝗵𝗶 can do a little bit of an uppercut too on the Grumper, and by a little bit I mean a lot of bit. But a lot of pressure on Tsubaki. The beta burst onto the 𝗧𝗵𝗶, a thunder strike onto the Volarant. We will see.
The big thing to note though is Tsubaki-chan and 𝗏𝗂𝗃 love playing for the second turn. They basically, their opening is irrelevant, right? The last 3 are what you really look out for, what they're gonna swap in, because usually they play for the second turn. Obviously, if they play for the first turn, it's a little bit of a curveball, but besides that, usually you see them play for the second. But for now, 𝗏𝗂𝗃 playing with a bit more of an aggressive squad, and Tsubaki has the Naga Issei and the 𝗂𝗀𝗺 back pocket, so we'll see.
Yeah, and these two Temtem so strong. I think it's everyone's most hated. I mean, 𝗬𝗏𝗺 very hated as well, but this is easily the second most hated 𝗬𝗺, just because 𝗏𝗂𝗃 runs it to perfection. Can it do a lot of work here today? Probably. I mean, almost one shot to Grumper. Same with 𝗏𝗺, same with Knockouts, and same for 𝗬𝗏𝗎. So the only one that can eat those pressures will be the 𝗂𝗀𝗺. So Tsubaki has to be a bit careful. It goes both ways though, so 𝗂𝗀𝗺 can one-shot the 𝗬𝗺 as well. So we'll see, as we said for the opener, keeping things very straightforward. Beta burst to 𝗧𝗵𝗶, thunder strike the Volarant. That's double damage, but Tsubaki trying to make some reads here.
Swap in for the nature 𝗬𝗺, and the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 does stay in. A perfect jab to 𝗏𝗏𝗺, setting up for the nature 𝗬𝗺 one shot next turn. Tsubaki actually plays for the first turn, does a lot of damage on the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 to the thunder strike to follow into the 𝗬𝗺, does neutral damage, of course.
Yeah, not too bad. I actually forgot nature resists that there, so 40% just about. But this is big. That P-jab on the 𝗏𝗺. We know how slow Grumper tends to be. 𝗏𝗺 is the only Temtem that can outspeed, so 𝗏𝗂𝗃 playing a bit of mind games already, saying, Tsubaki, are you going for another beta burst, or do you think my 𝗂𝗂𝗃 is coming in? Let me get the water synergy, and then that right spot, 𝗵𝗀𝗀 slot, even with the Strange Vest, I think the Synergy Master Wardrum Water Synergy is just a little bit too strong for a -1 defense. But that same goes for 𝗏𝗬𝗃, because he want to read that Tsubaki brings in 𝗂𝗀𝗇r and wants to redirect that pressure onto 𝗵𝗃. We will see.
𝗂𝗀𝗇r practically forced here by Tsubaki-chan. And in fact, we do see it. WCL, of course, also forced by both sides here, just trying to do the obvious play. But the second play is definitely not obvious. So 𝗧𝗵𝗵's perfect jab to follow through with a stone wall, nullifying that perfect jab right away, and the 𝗂𝗀𝗇r becoming formidable. Well, not as formidable yet, but starting to get up there. 𝗧𝗵𝗵's half HP, though, can get easily pressured down here. Along with the 𝗂𝗀𝗃. I mean, this 𝗂𝗀𝗃 is basically a really strong 𝗵𝗂𝗊. That Toxic Ink is gonna kill it, straight up.
Yeah, it's a 𝗵𝗊𝗊 with 25% increased damage whenever you get that water synergy online. So yeah, as you said, a heavier hitting 𝗵𝗊𝗊. And we'll play it, you know, 𝗏𝗏𝗃 keeping things straightforward. If the 𝗵𝗀𝗃 stayed in, it was a free kill. And something to point out, as I'm saying here, that Strange Vest going into 𝗧𝗵𝗃 turn 1 did indeed snare the Strange Vest. So no Strange Vest to be had on this 𝗵𝗀𝗃. So let's see how it works out for him later game. Because now, the one true answer for this 𝗂𝗀𝗃, as you said, 𝗵𝗊𝗊 and this 𝗂𝗀𝗃, almost the same Temtem, does take 4x damage from Toxic Tick. So 𝗏𝗏𝗃 perhaps looking to retreat this 𝗂𝗀𝗃 in order to get some more value down the road. And he has plenty to choose from. 𝗵𝗃 feels a bit better here. And it even gives you 𝗧𝗵𝗃 synergy to really punish the 𝗵𝗃 if he wants to think that. But man, so much going on here. If he wants to read the 𝗧𝗵𝗃, maybe 𝗂𝗏𝗃 comes in. So yeah, we'll see. I think Tsubaki might swap, but okay, 𝗧𝗵𝗃 is the one to swap here.
𝗂𝗏𝗃 is going to be swapped in here. WCL will get the priority buff if he does decide to stay in. Tsubaki-chan reading this. 𝗵𝗃 is going to leave for the Naga. No, bear in mind, 𝗵𝗶𝗄 is still not fast enough to protect this. So if WCL connects on this Naga and it shreds him like butter, we are going to be going to a game without the Naga combo. And 𝗏𝗏𝗃 reads Tsubaki like an open book. The trade is 100% worth it.
Yeah, I mean, that was huge. Naga is such a good Temtem into Snrplat's team, but so was the 𝗂𝗀𝗃. I think that was a fair trade, because think about it, Blue. The 𝗂𝗀𝗃 did incredible work into 𝗵𝗀𝗃, incredible into 𝗵𝗃, incredible into the 𝗂𝗏𝗃. So that's a fair trade right there. Taking the 𝗂𝗀𝗃 down. I mean, yeah, Nagaz is such a good Temtem, but he also had 𝗂𝗏𝗃 for the Nagaz as well. But you know what? I think you're right, Blue. Before the Nagaz 𝗂𝗀𝗃 bamboozle shenanigans, you got to take it out of here. So well done for 𝗏𝗏𝗃. I can't tell exactly who came out a little bit ahead there, because the 𝗂𝗀𝗃 was also very important. I think it's almost even. I think it might almost be even trade there, because they were both very impactful throughout this game. So hey, 1 for 1. I think we'll leave it there, and we'll see how it crumbles down the road. 𝗏𝗏𝗃 and Tsubaki both trying to pick up a Temtem here.
Yeah, also don't get fooled, guys. Even though, yes, the 𝗵𝗀𝗃 is, you know, very good against a lot of the Tems on the side of 𝗏𝗏𝗃, Dimmock don't care about your feelings. You know, Toxic Ink still does a lot of damage. The Strange Vest is gone, and it's -1 defense. 𝗵𝗀𝗃 isn't necessarily the tankiest Tem in the universe. This is gonna shred if 𝗵𝗀𝗃 gets hit with, again, potentially a uppercut or a Toxic Ink, or even if Voliran swaps in and throws in a Noxious Bomb, that's gonna do a lot of damage at this stage. So, not cookie cutter for either player. The big thing here is Tsubaki-chan is unable to get what he wants, which means 𝗏𝗏𝗃 definitely has an easier time trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and we do know it's an anaerobic Voliran most likely from 𝗏𝗏𝗃's side. So yeah, if it gets enough special defense going, 𝗵𝗀𝗃 won't be doing too much. And as you said, with that -1 defense, with the Strange Vest snare, 2 Noxious Bombs will be more than enough to take the 𝗵𝗀𝗃 down. So relatively even. However, on this current board, 𝗵𝗀𝗃 goes 𝗶𝗃. We saw the beta burst do over 50% on the 𝗧𝗵𝗃, so most likely look into that direction Tornado's also online, so maybe he just wants to throw the Tornado onto the 𝗂𝗶𝗶 for some big damage. He has the Grumper though for 𝗂𝗶𝗶 too. Maybe you just gotta end 𝗧𝗵𝗺 here, because it's either the Voldaren or the Machoke coming in. The Machoke also takes double damage, and Voldaren just some good old neutral damage. You have to take down the Voldaren eventually too. So let's see. I mean, interesting decisions here, but Tsubaki feels like he has a bit more momentum building up here with this 𝗵𝗺 swap in.
Yeah, this is gonna be so spooky. Tsubaki-chan, he has to win this match to force a game 3, but 𝗏𝗃𝗊, very solid read, makes it incredibly complicated. Both players taking their sweet time to figure this out.
All right, perhaps 𝗏𝗃𝗊 ready to sacrifice this 𝗧𝗵𝗺, because it did go for a Dim-Mak, and Tsubaki just keeping things straightforward. Double damage onto the monkey, and it does indeed fall. But let's see how much this Toxicking does. Wow. Imagine if that was Air Specialist. It would have gone down there.
For sure. The neutrality protecting the 𝗵𝗺 for a little bit. That actually allows for a tornado follow-through. So that 𝗧𝗵𝗺 sacrifice might have been in vain if the 𝗂𝗶𝗶 gets shredded here. But it's not, again, it's not that trivial. It depends on how the speed is playing out here. 𝗏𝗃𝗊, the question is, if this Voldaren is anaerobic, then Tsubaki is going to sweep with this 𝗵𝗺. There's no question about it. If it is aerobic, Noxious Bomb should go faster than whatever 𝗵𝗺 can throw out. It's going to come down to it. But unfortunately, with 𝗵𝗺 staying alive, it is going to be very difficult now. Tsubaki really bringing it back, and it is a game of inches.
Yeah, well, hey, this is 𝗏𝗃𝗊 we're talking about, so I've never seen 𝗏𝗃𝗊 run an aerobic unless he's going to change it up, but I believe we saw it earlier in the tournament. It should be an anaerobic Voldaren, but we'll take a look, and bringing in this Grumper and the 𝗂𝗶𝗶 to pressure out both of these Temtems quite decently. As you said, Noxious Bomb does fly out into that 𝗵𝗺 spot and doing a fair amount, but there it goes, +1 special defense, so trying to hold off against that electric strikes from this Grumper. And not too bad, man. A humiliating slap is almost looking like a staple on 𝗂𝗶𝗶. I think a lot of people sleep on the H slap on this 𝗂𝗶𝗶. Not only does it do, I believe, 8 base damage, it also, of course, more importantly, does the -1 defense reduction. So I think that's the game plan. 𝗏𝗃𝗊 loves the -1 defense, and then the 𝗏𝗃𝗽𝗽 ends up shredding everything else. Of course, it is gone now, so hoping the Voldaren can start shredding here too. But we'll see. I mean, the Grumper staring at this 𝗂𝗶𝗶 and this Voldaren like it's ready to eat some dinner here. Electric Storm does some decent amount. Thunder Strike does a decent amount into both of these Temtems. So let's think about what he's considering. I mean, Voldaren, much more of a threat than 𝗂𝗶𝗶. But 𝗂𝗶𝗶 is no slouch too. Water Jet online kind of hurts the Grumper as well.
Machoke gonna be swapped in here. Gonna set up for an uppercut to follow, eventually playing. Gonna do neutral damage to the 𝗂𝗶𝗶, and probably Thunder Strike's gonna go that way, depending on how Tsubaki-chan has read this. But the 𝗂𝗂𝗶𝗶 being caged is big. The Water Jet's even bigger, but not quite strong enough. Soul Wall to stabilize the Grumper so that he can throw out as many Thunder Strikes as necessary. Now, 𝗂𝗂𝗶 out of stamina, locked in. A Thunder Strike should suffice to just bring it down to a dangerous level. And Machoke, he has a lot of options. This is probably the best board Machoke's gonna get, for now at least.
Yeah, Machoke is feeling exactly how Grumper was feeling the previous turn, so he has just to pick his poison here. 𝗂𝗶𝗴 at -1 defense. I'm wondering, is a single uppercut enough from this Machoke? It's at 63%. And maybe, I know uppercut isn't the heaviest hitting technique, but it's at -1 defense, and 𝗂𝗶𝗴 isn't the tankiest 𝗂𝗶𝗴. I know Tsubaki likes his tankiness on his Tems, so maybe still survives. But yeah, I don't know if this Grumper wants to stay in. I mean, it is at +2 defense. Yeah, I think, yeah, we'll see. Okay, so everything does stay in. And hey, a turbo on the 𝗂𝗶𝗶 and Machoke, not too shabby.
Wants to make sure that the Machoke is fast enough to assist the Voldaren late stage. and the Thunderstrike should penalize the 𝗂𝗶𝗵 for staying in. Wow! That is not the number I was expecting to deal on that 𝗂𝗶𝗵. This 𝗂𝗶𝗵 is really tanky, or this Grumper is meant to be just a slow and steady wins the race kind of Grumper.
Yeah.
Tsubaki-chan, but
I believe it's the latter. You know, not to reveal too much, I believe very little special attack investment on this Grumper. Maybe going for a bit more bulk. So yeah, not as much damage as we're used to seeing. Almost sometimes double damage from what we've seen. So yeah, different Grumper here on Tsubaki's side. So we will see. I mean, 𝗵𝗂𝗽 going for the turbo. I believe that was for the 𝗵𝗺. Or let's think about it. What was indeed the turbo for? Oh, I guess the trying to outspeed plagues. I'm not even too sure. What exactly was the turbo for?
It's to keep up with the Bowler in later stages when he wants to start bolstering. Also, just to catch some Tems off guard as well, especially with that +1 speed. Sometimes you just straight up forget that it's on the board. 𝗂𝗶𝗵's taking, speaking of which, a lot of penalty, 2 HP. The Strangle, though, going to force 𝗬𝗶𝗵 out of this conversation, and the 𝗂𝗶𝗵 can swap for the Bowler. This is what I was talking about. Turbo choreography here would be huge for 𝗵𝗂𝗽.
Yeah, I mean, you get that hyperkinetic strike online with +2, and nothing really pressures out the Bowler. Plague does Vortex. Toxic Ink, not looking too crazy into the bird. So if he wants to get even faster, get that HKS online, he could go for it. But I thought, you know, I guess +1 speed always nice to have. But he kind of had to uppercut kill on that 𝗬𝗶𝗵 about a turn or two ago. But we'll see. I mean, slow and steady will win the race. It looks 𝗵𝗂𝗽 has this one a little bit locked down. You know, the HP won't say that. Tsubaki does have the HP and the Tem advantage. But I think, as you said, Blue, with that Bowler in the back line.
Bowler coming through. And the 𝗬𝗶𝗵 leaving here. Tsubaki-chan probably going to swap in their Grumper. And there it is. This is a decent board for the Grumper. But if this 𝗵𝗂𝗽 is going to uppercut, that spot is going to hurt. But no, the Earth Stone Wall going to keep it alive. And the Golder doing what it does best, protecting the Grumper. This Bowler is unable to pressure this Grumper more, and fortunately 𝗵𝗂𝗽 is sped up so he can break the shield maybe, but it's just difficult right now for 𝗵𝗂𝗽.
Yeah, I think he has to let this 𝗂𝗶𝗵 go in the back line, and then I think, man, it's crazy every time. One turn changes so much, it's so crazy. But yeah, I mean, Bowler doesn't want to take a Thunderstrike. As you said, 𝗵𝗂𝗽 outspeeds the bird here now. Unless he wants to just throw away that hyperkinetic. It wasn't going to do the most amount of damage, so he could just to get the uppercut. But with Grumper being at +2 speed or +2 defense, it's not going to be doing too much. But Toxic Noxious Bomb on the Golder. Was that just for the defense?
I think it was, because this Thunderstrike is now going to do not very little, but it's going to do a lot of reduced damage. And that's huge because you need that time. Bamboozle was just in case the 𝗵𝗂𝗽 decided to throw in a punch and an all-in was coming through, but Tsubaki-chan wasn't necessary. And that's a big thing, though. 𝗵𝗂𝗽 saved stamina, and he saved HP on the Bowler. That may not seem significant, but when the Grumper can only throw Thunderstrike once every 2 turns, that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, it has to overexert so much for another Thunderstrike. And you know, one Thunderstrike did what? Barely 30% damage. So that +2 special defense was essential. You know, I think the time this Bowler is on the board, it gives so much favor towards the side of 𝗵𝗂𝗽, especially because this Golder isn't really all that stacked. So we'll see Golder and Grumper, the slowest Temtems on the board. What does Tsubaki want to do? He does decide to bring out the 𝗬𝗶𝗵. And it's a super healthy 𝗬𝗶𝗵 at that, with that lifeful sap there.
Ooh, he P-jabs the Golder. He's actually trying to go for the Golder kill. I'm surprised. I thought this was going to be one where you just focus down the 𝗬𝗶𝗵 spot until everything is dead, but decides against it. The 𝗬𝗶𝗵, full HP, and this Bowler, you can't afford any more damage. If it goes lower than 30%, you are guaranteed to die to a Thunderstrike. So you have to be very careful with how you establish this. It's just a very hard position. 𝗵𝗂𝗽 has to be very precise.
Yeah, and you know, the 𝗏𝗀𝗊 still chilling in the back line, so that's something 𝗏𝗊𝗊 can't forget. So absolutely, if the 𝗂𝗏𝗡 goes down, that's seemingly almost GG right there. 𝗂𝗏𝗊𝗊 and 𝗏𝗀𝗊 can take care of the 𝗂𝗶𝗊, and then, you know, if he saves a tornado for the 𝗏𝗂𝗡, should be going definitely super low. But maybe 𝗏𝗂𝗡 by himself, he might have a lot to say. We will see down the road. This is just such a neck and neck battle. I don't even know who has it, because the 𝗂𝗏𝗡 was looking rather healthy, but as you said, all the way find himself at 50 HP.
Oh, the play gonna come through it. Wow, that did 2% damage. Absolutely disgusting amount of special defense on this 𝗂𝗏𝗡, but the FG will secure the kill on the 𝗂𝗏𝗡. More importantly, he traded 60% stamina for that kill. That will come back to haunt him as this game goes longer, and 𝗏𝗊𝗊 has the disadvantage when it comes to how many Temtem he can really afford to use. But at the same time, Tsubaki, if he swaps in the 𝗏𝗏𝗡, you don't really secure a kill on the 𝗂𝗏𝗡. He still has Noxious Bomb. You can still triple choreography. It's not all but certain, so he has to be careful. It is not trivial to end this. If also, as you pointed out, Plus, if these 3 Tems get too low, 𝗏𝗂𝗡 will carry by himself. He'll just punch them to death, Mike Tyson style.
And yeah, here comes the 𝗏𝗀𝗊. So of course, 𝗏𝗊𝗊 with the Swepian on his bird, recovering quite nicely, back up to 50% stamina. So one Noxious Bomb in that direction will take 𝗏𝗊𝗊 out. 𝗏𝗊𝗊 does indeed have Tornado. So I'm wondering... Oh, 𝗏𝗂𝗡 with the +1 speed. Oh my
the
God, speed
you
paying off.
Absolutely, the 𝗏𝗂𝗡. This is what you said. Plus, the 𝗏𝗂𝗡 is the essential difference that has turned this fight from a dangerous position to a surefire win. But not quite there just yet. The 𝗏𝗏𝗡 and the 𝗂𝗏𝗡 and the 𝗂𝗏𝗊𝗊 still have to be dealt with, and both of them are so tanky especially since the 𝗂𝗏𝗡 can't attack and the 𝗏𝗂𝗡 is almost out of stamina.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we get our answer right there. It looks like, of course, +1 speed makes all 𝗏𝗂𝗡's normal prio plays essentially 3 prio. So even if the 𝗏𝗏𝗊𝗊 went for a tornado, if that's a handful of speed on 𝗏𝗂𝗡, as we saw right there, does outspeed the 𝗏𝗏𝗊𝗊 even in front of a tornado. So well done. And hey, 𝗬𝗏𝗄, just to put a little nail in the coffin, 𝗏𝗏𝗡 does go down after the next 4 turns. And then he could just focus all that attention onto 𝗂𝗏𝗊𝗊. I mean, it's still incredibly close. But as you said earlier, Blue, 𝗏𝗂𝗡, he's looking like the MVP in this game 100%.
Yeah, people, you know, 𝗏𝗂𝗡, what a rise to heroism this Tem has. Used to be a big old meme. Look at that skinny boy with pom-poms. But he's carrying some games. He definitely has carried a lot more games than most people would imagine. But
yeah.
Tsubaki, it's not over yet. It's just so difficult. How do you kill the 𝗂𝗏𝗡 and also get the 𝗏𝗂𝗡 in a position where you can shred it with just 𝗂𝗏𝗊𝗊 and 𝗏𝗏𝗡 when the defenses are also threatened almost every time?
Yeah, definitely. And to your point, Blue, you know, sometimes in life you gotta be your #1 cheerleader. So that is 𝗏𝗂𝗡 right there. And hey, let's see how much this -1 defense does.
Oh, that uppercut did so much damage. The Noxious Bomb almost secures the kill, but not quite there yet. But Anaerobic gonna make sure that this Thunder Strike may be able to buy it some time. No, 𝗂𝗏𝗡 finally does go down. But look at how much that cost the 𝗏𝗏𝗡. Exhaustion. It is out of this fight. The 𝗂𝗏𝗊𝗊 has to dodge 2 attacks, which is literally impossible.
Yeah, very true. And the 𝗂𝗏𝗊𝗊 not running out, so I think 𝗂𝗏𝗊 can clean up the 𝗂𝗏𝗊. This is insanely close. But 𝗏𝗂𝗡, he's running out of stamina. Does he overexert? I think if he overexerts, kills the 𝗂𝗏𝗊. I mean, it's definitely over if 𝗏𝗂𝗡 outspeeds the 𝗂𝗏𝗊. Let's take a look. It outsped the 𝗏𝗏𝗊𝗊, and it outspeeds the 𝗂𝗏𝗊. This +1 speed 𝗏𝗂𝗡 paying so much dividends down the road. A beautiful turbo earlier on, and that will be a GG. Mr. Snrplat will be taking this quarterfinals in convincing, not too convincing fashion, but well played to both tamers. Coming down to a good old 1v1.
Absolutely, and the Grumper goes out on its own terms, takes exactly enough damage, and well done to 𝗏𝗃𝗃. Again, very incredible plays. Reading the Naga swapping was probably the game decider right there. Yes,
you guys are ready, and it looks like they are ready right now. So let's tune in. Semi-finals time. Let's see what these guys got.
This is going to be so interesting to see, and both players. Wow, Noaphiel with El Clásico, the I will smash your face in strat, versus 𝗏𝗃𝗃, which has a little bit more spicy, but for sure is in the same vein of I would rather punch you in the face. But of course, you never know. You know, it's been a bit since I've seen 𝗃𝗏𝗃, to be honest. Actually, I have not seen 𝗃𝗏𝗃 on a lot of teams, at least when it comes to the weeklies. As of recently, usually it's a Turok or a Tukai. But personally, of course, as a big Crystal fan, I love 𝗃𝗏𝗃. Absolutely destructive attack-based Crystal tech.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't know why. I think we just like CPG, don't we?
Blah, blah.
Yeah, a little blah blah action. And funny enough, 𝗃𝗏𝗃 actually very strong into 𝗏𝗃𝗃's team. The crystal resists the toxic from 𝗏𝗃𝗃's side, so 𝗃𝗏𝗃 quite the impactful Temtem. So much so that I'm wondering if he wants to pick it up in the opening turn, because if he doesn't, that is most likely going to be the second ban. But starting off with a Wolfie, not too shabby, pressures out a handful of 𝗏𝗃𝗃's stuff.
It also stops the size bunch opening, because now you are given a lot more room to breathe as Noaphiel. You get to basically draft whatever you want here. 𝗏𝗃𝗃 will have to respect it. Even if he does pick up sides bunch here, 𝗏𝗃𝗃 will have to play for the second turn. And that's not a bad thing. Of course, again, at the top level, the second turn is probably more crucial than the first. When you're running aggro, if you read your opponent perfectly on the first turn, it's pretty much over from there on. I mean, not obviously the general consensus. You still have to wait a couple of turns to see if they'll manage to execute it. But basically, if you lose a Tem in the first turn, or if you take way too much damage, it's just so hard to come back from. So 𝗏𝗃𝗃 definitely gonna have to be careful here. Or maybe he just goes full force with the Naga Gulder. I mean, he'd be insane enough to do it. And I mean, speak of the devil.
Mad lad indeed, and does pick up 𝗃𝗏𝗃. 𝗃𝗏𝗃 naturally very slow, so it kind of works in the C aura. However, I mean, if it's not broke, why fix it? Golder Naga is dynamic duo of the tournaments, of a lot of tournaments recently. So hey, 𝗏𝗃𝗃 does indeed pick it up. So I mean, thinking about it, if he wants to protect Nagai's Bamboozle there, 𝗃𝗏𝗃 would go first, pop the Bamboozle, and then Plague would connect onto the Nagai. So we'll see. It seemingly looks like an okay madness buff turn. Because yeah, the Plague is special attack. It's 3 prio, so it would go last. So I feel like that is an easy turn 1 madness buff for the side of 𝗏𝗃𝗃. But yeah, hey, I'm seeing a little bit of good stuff in the chat. This could very well be a drill 𝗃𝗏𝗃. And if it is, I am going crazy, guys. A drill 𝗃𝗏𝗃
I'm gonna lose my
incoming.
mind. If drill goes through and it insta gives the Naga, yikes! That is going to be so painful as 𝗏𝗃𝗃. But hopefully, you know, if it isn't drill, I hope 𝗏𝗃𝗃 doesn't psych himself out. Again, this opening is almost one of the most impregnable ones. Of course, the couple ways to counter it is be very tanky, or hit so hard that you swap the Naga into next week. But
yeah, and that's exactly what Matt did. He did that the previous game, but let's see. I mean, Noah played so well in this past tournament. Let's see what he has for us. So Nagas, ooh, maybe it was a drill. Okay.
He doesn't take the chance. He's not taking the chance. The Toxic ain't gonna follow through though, so the 𝗃𝗏𝗃's still gonna get pressured a lot by the toxic damage. The CPG will go through, but the monkey will take that in spades, but he's not gonna take that Plague in Spades, however, Shotgun Blast destroying the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 HP, and another Plague to follow. Rock Bottom is nice, but not if you're trapped.
Yeah, and that ends up working out so well. So usually the 𝗬𝗶 would go first, and then we saw how effective the snare was against teams like Tsubaki. So the Deceit Aura making 𝗃𝗏 go first, so 𝗃𝗏 getting snares. So if it had a drill, no more drill for the 𝗃𝗏. But 𝗬𝗏 does get the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 trapped in, so just a single plague one more time most likely does go first, because Matchia has no... Oh, he does have melee synergy, but it won't connect onto the Team Elusive 𝗬𝗏. So 𝗧𝗵𝗶 is all good and dead. However, you take down 𝗧𝗵𝗶, and then it's just a free Nagai's entry. So I don't know if you killed the 𝗧𝗵𝗶, but I guess you gotta do the damage.
Feather Gatling to follow those, so the Golder will take a bit of damage, but you know, I hope Noaphiel is a big fan of books, because he's gonna do a lot of reading this following turn. The Naga will be swapping in for sure. Matchia really wanted that. The 𝗧𝗵𝗶 Rock Bottom would have been devastating, and it had to go for sure for Noah. But it's not that crazy. A crazy thought though. Dust Vortex into CPG. You remove Bamboozle into a CPG, that would be the play.
Yeah,
at least I would think so.
Yeah, that'll be the dream. The only thing is, 𝗃𝗏's so naturally slow that unless Noah is running some kind of speed on that 𝗃𝗏, because most 𝗬𝗏 is relatively speedy. But yeah, I mean, if somehow the 𝗬𝗏 is slower than the 𝗃𝗏, aka faster in the C aura, then yeah, that play would be fantastic. And a CPG going into Nagai's direction will bring it all the way down if Matchia wants to elect to go for a madness buff. So let's see. Bamboozle, of course, always going first under the C aura, and it is a madness buff.
Madness buff. For sure. This is the biggest gamble. Feather Gatling goes first, so it's going on the Golder, trying to do as much damage as possible, but that makes sure that the Naga will have madness buff, and the Golder doesn't die! That's so big! Noah is now at the mercy of a god. Naga-ise with the fury of several animes at his disposal.
Yeah, I mean, every time we say he looks like he's going Super Saiyan 3 right in the middle of her transformation, about to hit it. So yes, everything is online. You know, Nagai's Fury probably brings down this 𝗃𝗏, but of course 𝗬𝗏 is Team Elusive, so won't be brought down. But looking at the stamina, it has to overexert to kill the Golder, but it's almost GG right here. Madness buff Nagai's. Look at Noah's back line. It is 2 neutral Temtems and a 𝗂𝗏𝗏, and Snrplat has a crazy nature 𝗂𝘀𝗶 waiting to eat up that 𝗂𝗏𝗏. And yeah, these Temtems, Mooflink and Skunch won't be able to touch this Nagai's under the C aura, and they will get one shot. Even the Mooflink there, a single beta burst with that +2 special attack is way too much pressure. So well played for Snrplat. That turn 1 𝗧𝗵𝗶 snare was beautiful. Even if that was a drill 𝗃𝗏, playing it to perfection here in game number 1. But we'll see. I mean, it looks like on paper this Nagai's just literally carries the game. But maybe there's something we're missing here.
This is going to be so dangerous for Noaphiel. It's just I struggle to see how this is holdable with what he has in the back as well. I mean, the reason why this strat is so strong is because once you get the Naga set up, you don't really have to think about it too hard. You just kind of bait the burst your way to victory.
Yeah, Nagai's Fury, Side Surge. But yeah, the hardest part is the setup. So we saw it there, you know, it would have cost him his life if he would have just turned 1 madness buff. So well done bringing in the 𝗧𝗵𝗶. You know, that snare on the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 perfectly plays in to eat some crystal damage. And even there to eat the 𝗬𝗶 handcuffs too. So getting the best of both worlds with that snare target. And yeah, snare's such a powerful item indeed. Didn't even mind letting go the 𝗧𝗵𝗶. It was all for the bigger picture. And Noaphiel really thinking hard about this. Just 1 minute remaining on the reserve time. He just doesn't see an opening here. And I don't blame him. It's a tough turn.
This is a lot of thinking to do down to the last minute here. And yeah, this is just not it's definitely a struggle to how to pull this off.
Yeah, because at the very least, 𝗂𝗀𝗺 gets a final toxic ink on the 𝗂𝗶𝗴. So let's see. It looks like the moves are set in stone. Oh, toxic in the 𝗂𝗏, just in case the Fury doesn't kill. I thought the Fury... Oh, to knock out the 𝗂𝗶𝗴 here. All right, side surge will bring it all the way down. Okay, so didn't want to risk the 𝗂𝗏 swapping into 𝗬𝗏. So I believe that's what 𝗬𝗀𝗺 read. He read a 𝗬𝗏 swapping into 𝗂𝗏, which is exactly why he toxic inked that left spot.
Yeah, for sure. Just playing it safe. Again, he has time here to play around with, because once this 𝗂𝗏 goes down, there is not another Crystal Tem on the field for the side of Noah. And what else does he have? Plus, neutral and a Scunch. So, yeah, this is not a party that either of them will like. And the worst part about this is that 𝗬𝗀𝗺 can hold on to Fury as a bluff if he ever wanted to, because it will always go first. This team is way too fast to stop a Fury. So 𝗬𝗀𝗺 can just keep going beta burst after beta burst, or even lullaby if he wanted to. And there's just nothing he can do about it. The Quish here for 𝗬𝗀𝗺, of course, going to be too fast, or too slow in this case, to handle this. But that's what the Naga is for. So it's just too problematic. A CPG is available, but will 𝗂𝗏 be alive to do it? The answer is unfortunately no. Unless Execution does... No, wait, no, it's not even on. Never mind.
And hey, speaking of the Naga's Fury, looking to take down the 𝗂𝗏 before the CPG, and look at that brutal damage on the move flank. It wasn't even double damage, doing 90%. And the WCL with the overkill could almost kill 2 move flanks in a row. So Wardrum doing way too much damage. Move flank going down. Side surge goes back online. So this Scunch, literally side surge on the Scunch, probably kills a 3 total Scunches.
A single side surge.
To get into our semifinals, which is right now. So guys, do the first couple things the same, just to be fair. I mean, you don't know. I think you guys would probably do that anyways. So he picked a Scunch, and we knew Blue. We're like, wait a minute, a Scunch into a Naga's opener, but that makes sense. The DC, it automatically picks the first Temtem. And there we go. So 𝗂𝗏 does get picked up. I believe the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 is to really pressure out the 𝗂𝗏. Something like an uppercut turn 1 and then a Naga's Fury turn 2 might be enough to take down the 𝗂𝗏. But that's if this Naga's lives. I don't know if this Naga's lives. If Noah wants to target double on the Naga, there's no way the Naga can survive a Plague and a CPG. So I think this Naga is going to retreat for now. Or we will see.
It'll be all about the reads, I think. So, not the easiest in the world. But yeah, if 𝗬𝗀𝗺 reads this, or if he plays for the second turn again, then it'll be a completely different story. But we will definitely have to see if that is the case, or if there is some adjustments to be made here.
Yeah, and more importantly, what is the potential swap in? I mean, 𝗬𝗀𝗇 looking like a perfect swap in. You eat up a Plague. Yes, you get trapped. Well, you don't take too much damage. And then you have double uppercuts heading the direction of a 𝗂𝗶𝗴 and a 𝗂𝗏. That doesn't feel too bad. So maybe that is exactly what 𝗬𝗀𝗺 has in mind. Not letting the 𝗂𝗀𝗺 get the synergy. So yeah, it does ban the 𝗧𝗵𝗶. So not too bad. Noah knows exactly what he's facing. All right, so hey, this looks like a closer matchup indeed. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, Noah has that counter pick early on. That means 𝗵𝗶𝗆 has the counter pick late on the pick and bans. So we'll see if that gives Matt a slight edge here. It looks like he wants to pick up these neutrals with the 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗶. That doesn't sound too bad. Because 𝗬𝗏 definitely doesn't sound too good into that Valorant and the water nature 𝗧𝗵𝗶𝗶.
So Gaelis, Mashuk picked up. I mean, both players straight up going for the hyper aggressive plays on both ends. I mean, the Snrplat most likely just going to do as much damage as possible, or at least apply as much pressure as possible while it's here. Or we could just see the Madness buff heat up that we talked about, although that is a pretty big gamble considering.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason you would Madness buff is if you feel like 100% confident that Noah's gonna target the 𝗧𝗵𝗆, but I don't know, man. It's risky here, but yeah, 𝗵𝗆 not gonna take any risk. That backline looking too strong, so exactly what we're talking about in the pick and bans. Mashuk coming out to play, but Noah not gonna risk it. Just a strong CPG into Mashuk.
Absolutely, CPG doing a decent chunk of damage. And the perfect jab is not trivial. There's 2 melee Tems on the board. It's gonna suck. But the 𝗧𝗵𝗆 is also locked in. But is the wreck faster than the plague? Usually it is. So this is gonna be devastating.
Yeah, it doesn't really impact Noaphiel so much, because remember, Team Elusive does not get touched by something like a 𝗧𝗵𝗆 wreck. However, one P-jab did about over 30%, so an uppercut from this Mashuk, if 𝗧𝗵𝗆 wants to retreat, should be doing a fair amount of damage, so we will see. I don't think he wants to go for a 𝗧𝗵𝗆 wreck here, because I think a plague will just be putting it down. So what can he do? Perhaps something to this Valorant, and man, this snare, of course, during that the handcuffs off the 𝗂𝗶𝗆 last turn. But yeah, perhaps this Valorant into something like 𝗬𝗏. That kind of feels okay. Just 𝗬𝗏 the 2-Vine, just 50% straight out the door over the next couple turns. So we'll see a couple reads to be made. But this 2-Vine pressuring out this Mashuk quite well too. So I think it could only take about 2... Actually, it might be closer to 3 feather Gatlings. Parrier is just such a strong trait. So we'll pay attention. It's currently at 78%. So whatever the FG connects with, if he does decide to go into the Mashuk, we'll obviously extrapolate the math there. If it's 2 or 3 feather Gatlings, I'm thinking more like 3, only because FG, or sorry, the Parrier is just such an impressive. And that double screen too. Double screen mitigating some damage as well. I believe it was 10%. So let's see. And hey, this is a tricky turn for both of these tamers. You never want to plague into a Vola. So let's see what goes down.
So now I would say 𝗵𝗆𝗆 has the advantage simply because you can rock bottom. And most likely the 𝗂𝗶𝗆 should die, especially with defense down. Even if you heat up here, would be the same. Oh wait, no, sorry. The 𝗧𝗵𝗆 wreck doesn't hit the 𝗂𝗶𝗆. Never mind. You have to punch it.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, 𝗂𝗶𝗆 feels comfortable here. I believe Noah's just thinking, should he just double the Mashuk, thinking that the 𝗧𝗵𝗆 leave? But if the 𝗧𝗵𝗆 doesn't leave and he doesn't plague that spot, 𝗧𝗵𝗆 100% with a single uppercut takes the 𝗂𝗶𝗆 down. I mean, look how much a P-jab did. So that is what they're deciding here. Is 𝗧𝗵𝗆 going to stay to kill the 𝗂𝗶𝗆? Or is the 𝗂𝗶𝗆 going to get no value plaguing into something like a Valorant? So I believe that's what 𝗵𝗆𝗆 is thinking. Do you take the risk? Is he going to call the bluff, stay in with 𝗧𝗵𝗆, get the kill on the 𝗂𝗶𝗆? 𝗵𝗆𝗆 really thinking about it here. Spending a lot of this reserve time down to the final 30 seconds. But 𝗵𝗆𝗆 not risking it. And out does indeed come the bird.
Valoran, very brave. The turbo choreography applied as well. Wants to get that long-term sped up. He's not going to rely on the side switch, which is a smart choice considering Valoran does not get caged here, and the Feather Gatling should do some decent chunking. And a big benefit there is the turbo choreography, and honestly, Noaphiel needed to do more there to at least punish this play. And 𝗏𝗬𝗃 has just a lot, and I mean a lot of benefits going his way right now. I mean, hyper-aggressive strategy with the Valoran setup. 𝗏𝗏𝗃 can't set himself up anymore, so it's pretty much always set up. The 𝗧𝗵𝗵𝗶𝗃 will still have that wreck, and the Naga, of course, with that beta burst, still very scary, even with a 𝗂𝗀𝗶𝗵𝗃 in the back.
Yeah, and that +2 speed will end off paying off, so much so that I believe the Machoke and the Valoran, without any 3-prio plays, should be able to outspeed this 𝗂𝗶𝗏. So at -1 defense, should be able to fall down, and 𝗬𝗏 doesn't even get a kill on Machoke because it wasn't over 45%. So let's see. The Scunch does come out, and Rawrzyyy with the synergy. So as we said earlier, 50% done out the door within the next 3 turns.
Noxious Bomb to follow as well on that 𝗂𝗶𝗏 spot. If it did stay in, would have taken a considerable amount of damage. And speaking of considerable amount of damage, Feather Gatling to follow through. Machoke now low, sort of forced to leave here, but you can also probably see a potential perfect jab Crystal Plume Gatling on a spot, on the Valoran spot, if that was on the cards, or even just an FG. But bottom line is the Scunch on the field is gonna do a lot of damage. Suplex, Oshidashi is also available, so this is probably the best time for the Scunch until Naga shows up, which is probably this turn. The question is the Machoke swapping into that?
Yeah, we could. It's a little bit risky if no one wants to go just a straight up CPG. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This Scunch with the War Drums looking straight at this Valoran's face. He doesn't really have a good swap. I mean, I guess Naga to eat up. But if 𝗬𝗏 stays, CPG is still around. So 𝗏𝗏𝗃 on the left spot. Does this bird stay in? And it looks like it does. Oh, the plume. Beautiful play. So Determine doesn't do anything to 𝗬𝗏, but the Scunch, that is a big -1.
Reducing the attack of Scunch is huge here. So the suplex does less than you would expect, but the exhaust as well to at least carry over to the next turn, and the Feather Gatling to follow. That was all the stamina 𝗬𝗏 had, and he has to leave now if he wants to be able to carry over that tempo, and he doesn't, and 𝗬𝗏 doesn't get shredded here. Flank swap in is fine. 𝗏𝗏𝗃 is actually losing quite a bit of HP on a lot of his Tems, but I'm not sure how useful that will be for Noah if 𝗏𝗏𝗃 has time.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Noah has to protect this 𝗬𝗏 because 𝗬𝗏, one of the best answers against this Naga. Yes, 𝗂𝗶𝗏 could do a little bit, but 𝗬𝗏 is the slower Temtem, ready to take apart this Nagas, because Madness buff could come on, so could protect himself from those plagues. But 𝗬𝗏 is the physical crystal damage dealer that no one needs to overcome Nagas. So we'll see. I mean, good damage on the bird. And you know, that Scunch did so little. It was impressive how much little damage the suplex did. That just goes to show you how effective a -1 attack is. So really good plume. It looks like Noah not forgetting, but didn't think it was coming, since the 𝗬𝗏 does have the determined trait. And he was already toxic, so it was 100% just for the Scunch. But now hook kick is online for this 𝗏𝗏𝗃. You can't afford to make 𝗬𝗏 go too low. So Noah thinking about retreating, but keeping 𝗬𝗏 in. I think a hook kick might be taking out this 𝗬𝗏.
The Ninja Jutsu barely lives. The Valoran barely lives the Ninja Jutsu, and the hook kick to trade. And my god, the 1-for-1 is not even sufficient as the Valoran survives that attack. That is painful to see. -1 attack really causing some problems.
Yeah,
and another boom is coming.
And needed to absolutely get some value that turn. So ladies and gents, Noah said he accidentally ran out of time. No sweat, it happens in the heat of the moment. Let's jump in. Finals time is here, guys.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. 𝗵𝗶𝗶 is able to play both kinds of games. Obviously aggressive, obviously he can play slow paced, has the option to do so. If I remember, Leal is able to match up similarly. I don't quite remember his team. What was
he
it?
had the pig, you remember the hypnosis or the
yes.
Yeah, that bamboozle control, it was so impactful. So we'll see. I mean, the only issue here is once this bird is gone, the pig is the only win damage, so it has to rely on some of these other Temtems. However, 𝗏𝗏 is one of those Temtems that once you get a madness buff going, you're able to definitely steamroll no matter toxic or any Temtem, right? So 𝗂𝗶𝗆, okay, hey, this is a good opener on both sides. So I'm very curious how this ends up playing out, because Yowler Kiinu, impressive opener, and we all know the power of the 𝗂𝗶𝗆 water nature 𝗂𝘀𝗆.
Absolutely. This is gonna be a very raw damage opening for the side of 𝗵𝗶𝗆. Surprising considering he's more than happy to play slower. With 𝗧𝗵𝗵 on the field, I guess it's kind of a given, but I mean, we'll see how he approaches this.
Yeah, and I wonder which target he's going to take, because I don't think Yowler can afford to show off. I wonder if he has a turn one, something like clinch. And if he goes WCL into Yowler, at least you get the 50% comebacker damage going on to the 𝗂𝘀𝗆. But we'll see. I can't recall if that's a 𝗬𝗵𝗄 Yowler. I don't think it is, because he opened it on the... Oh, actually, no. It's on the left side, so it could be a 𝗬𝗵𝗄 Yowler.
Potentially so. I mean, we'll have to see exactly what he goes for here, but yeah, I'm not quite sure either what the plan is for Leal. Oh, bamboozle Naga maybe? Oh,
Relax Naga, right? He was doing a lot of relax. Exactly. That's a one prio play, so maybe relax Naga could be the way to Leal's success here in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. This is one of those things where they both right away figure out what exactly they want, and they both actually have a slower pace in mind, and also they have the madness buff shotgun strats in the pocket as well. So do not underestimate what they can pull off here.
So it was indeed a 𝗬𝗵𝗄 Yowler, and you know, some people make the mistake of putting it on the right side, so Kiinu buff goes first, and then the Yowler clears off with the 𝗬𝗵𝗄, so well done already. Of course, professional player Leal won't be making that mistake, so you do get the Kiinu buff on this Yowler. So let's see, I'm curious here. I can't really tell who 𝗵𝗶𝗆 wants to gun down first. I mean, if Kiinu stays in, you still take so much damage. Even nature on nature damage is still like 30-40%, and then the toxic ink does the rest. So you could kill the Kiinu before Yowler gets even tankier, or you just try to get some good damage on Yowler while you can too.
Yeah, right now, water can literally thrown out right away here. Both players already figured out what exactly they want. Kiinu gonna take that damage just in case there was a swap out, but the beta burst will trade unevenly. But the show off is basically free here. Gonna set up for some more damage down the line, but right now the damage on the Kiinu is immediate, but sacrifice is on the cards. If Luke really wanted to, he could sacrifice it to Yowler. He could maybe attempt to revitalize, but WCL should be faster.
Man, and you know what? You could tell these guys scream. I feel like that Kiinu was perfectly teched to live that exact barrage right there. WCL and a toxic ink, surviving by literally almost exactly one toxic tick. So as you said, Blue, sacrifice is online, and that even clears the 𝗬𝗵𝗄. So even after that, It's gonna be a tanky boy +3/+3 Yowler. That might be the recipe for success. And then, you know, what could come in next? I guess something like Naga, making 𝗂𝘀𝗶𝗴 go last after the Kinu falls. I'm kind of seeing what a little bit what Leal has in mind, but let's see if that's exactly right.
Yeah, 𝗂𝘀𝗶𝗴 swap out though happens for 𝗪𝗂𝗽. 𝗪𝗂𝗃 will be coming in instead, so going for the double toxic here. And the turbo choreography, actually, the Kinu will be committing to speeding up the 𝗪𝗂𝗃 and the 𝗪𝗵𝗵 so that the Naga and the Yowler are gonna be hyperspeed. Savage Suplex connects, and the Strangle to follow.
Wow, so just making sure everything is super slow in the eyes of a Deceit or a Naga. So not too bad. Cheeky turbo choreography. Let's see how well it works out for him. So just in case, usually 𝗪𝗵𝗵 underspeeds this Naga, but a 50% increase in speed, making sure that the Naga is... Oh, no. I mean, it's strangled this turn, but we'll see later on. It looks like the 𝗪𝗂𝗃 is the only thing able. And taking a look at his back line, that is a rather free madness buff. So Yowler buffed up, Naga is buffed, looking pretty good. Unless he just doesn't want a madness and just keeps it straightforward. Beta burst into 𝗪𝗂𝗃. That's some good value right there too. 20, 30, 35% going off from the 𝗪𝗂𝗃. And no one really eats it that well. I mean, goes into neutrally into Gyalis, into Valorant, into 𝗂𝘀𝗶𝗴. So Leal playing very well, and there it is, the madness buff. He's officially Super Saiyan 2 here.
Absolutely, very committing a little bit here, hoping that the Naga will survive to live another day, but the Toxic Inks does follow through. 𝗪𝗵𝗵 getting some rest, of course, wasn't unable to operate. But with that madness buff now up, and the Naga not low enough that it's threatened, I don't think 𝗪𝗂𝗃 and 𝗪𝗵𝗵 can go slow enough to stop Naga here.
Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, with that +1 speed, this Yowler Savage Suplex guarantees to kill the 𝗪𝗵𝗵. So Nagas feels okay. I mean, something like a Side Surge 𝗪𝗂𝗃, Savage Suplex 𝗪𝗵𝗵, that feels like a win-win situation if I do say so myself. I mean, I don't see any downside to that play. You know, Naga is already 𝗬𝗔. The best Snrplat can do is just tick down the Nagas a little bit more. Unless just straight up Side Surge goes 100 all the way to 0. We'll see. It could go all the way to 0. It is so strong.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you don't really sleep on. You have to be cautious about where this is going. And the Strangle goes off the Naga. He can't do it. It's ultra priority. Remember, the Strangle goes first no matter what. So he survives because of that, but the Side Surge still goes through.
Yeah, it connects, but it can't do anything the next turn. So Savage Suplex, and so smart for 𝗪𝗂𝗽. That was the only play he had available to him. It was just a strong Strangle, and if you guys are confused, Strangle always goes last. It is the lowest priority possible in the game. So under Deceit Aura always goes first no matter what. And Naga is surviving so small margins right there. I believe it survived. Actually, no. 25% is 2 toxic ticks. Yeah. So yeah, it does die. Yeah.
That Strangle was literally for the 3% damage it would do, so that the Naga would fall right under the toxic tick damage. Now, Naga is guaranteed dead here. That investment is all but gone. But there's another invested monster next to the Naga that you still have to worry about, on top of the Fury still available.
Yeah, we will see. Of course, Naga is Strangle for this turn, so not able to do anything. So it's just looking like it goes down no matter what. You know what? Maybe the madness bus potentially a little bit too greedy. I mean, even I forgot about the 𝗬𝗔 there, so potentially slipping Leal's mind. 𝗬𝗔, such a strong technique, and Strangle, such an awesome technique as well. So 𝗪𝗂𝗽 maneuvering very well in these finals. But you know, problem number 2 is Yowler right there. 𝗂𝗍𝗏𝗍 doesn't bring it down just yet.
I mean, it was a very smart read, and the Toxic Bloom attack down as well. 𝗀𝗯 is back to normal essentially, and the double gash to follow, just tickling. Wow, I was gonna say just tickled the 𝗀𝗯 a little bit, but that was way less than a little bit.
And yeah, that's the one time where you want 𝗀𝗯 to go last. So the see aura working a little bit counterintuitive for just that one turn because you wanted the comebacker value. If Voldrin, like it usually does, connect first, 𝗀𝗯 would have gotten the kill. But 𝗀𝗯, being so slow, does indeed go first under the see aura. So 2 Temtems down for the side of Leal. 1 Temtem down for Snrplat. One of those being very, very close to death, which is the Voldrin. Can Leal do it, or does Snrplat have it in the bag? I mean, he has the 𝗶𝗶𝗃, so kind of answers 𝗵𝗂𝗽𝗶 a little bit. This 𝗬𝗯 is looking quite formidable though for Leal, so we'll see. I mean, 𝗀𝗯 still has a handful of stamina. Savage Suplex is back online. But as you said, is back to base at attack stats, so not going to be packing as crazy as a punch as it was earlier.
Yeah, and obviously 𝗬𝗯 isn't probably gonna be able to crunch this by himself, and the Voron's kind of getting low. So, where is this damage gonna come from once this 𝗀𝗯 comes out with chamomile again, right? I mean, I might see Leal just giving up the defense and special defense bonus for a high grenade if he has it, right? That could potentially be the idea that he has.
Yeah, you mean retreat the 𝗀𝗯 and get the chamomile back online?
Yeah, so you can high grenade them. Potentially a play as well. I don't know where Machi's damage gonna come from to kill Velash and 𝗶𝗃𝗃 as well as the 𝗀𝗯 with so much damage on the line.
Yeah, well, see, I mean, 𝗂𝘀 with that war drum always packs a punch, so I never discount it, especially when you don't have any toxic damage. So that 𝗂𝘀 back line looks very, very strong as well. But the 𝗶𝗃𝗃 coming out to play, we saw how strong the 𝗶𝗃𝗃 was, especially at +2 speed. No turbo choreography anymore, as the Kinu did drop down earlier in turn 2. So the 𝗶𝗃𝗃 not going to be able to outspeed this Voldrin and 𝗀𝗯, so we'll see what it does. Actually, maybe can outspeed the bird since it's anaerobic. Let's see, I think Snrplat doesn't want to get the 𝗀𝗯 getting too much crazy value, but at the same time, you still want to start ticking away at it. You know? Toxic Plume. Wait, was Toxic Plume just last turn? Because if it wasn't, Toxic Plume one more time doesn't sound too bad. But yeah, it must have been last turn. It just took a little bit.
I mean, the Noxious Bomb follows through, doing a little bit of damage in the 𝗶𝗃𝗃, but yeah, deciding not to Toxic Plume. But that 𝗶𝗃𝗃 does bamboozle. The hibernate does commit without chamomile, so it freezes. Interesting play there by Luke. He's out of stamina anyway, so I think maybe that's the logic. He's out of stamina anyway, might as well commit to the freeze.
But man, it makes it such an obvious switch out though, so I feel like this 𝗀𝗯 is just 100% just hook kicks into the 𝗀𝗯 direction. Either you stay in for the -1 attack on the bird, unless the 𝗶𝗃𝗃 Tornado can outspeed, which is very likely. So Tornado could get the better of the bird before the Toxic Plume, so maybe you just let 𝗀𝗯 in. But if that was an aerobic, that definitely would outspeed the pig. So yeah, maybe just the 𝗶𝗃𝗃 Tornado to kill the bird, and then you just leave 𝗀𝗯 in. But HKS and then hook kick the pig, interesting.
Ooh, straight up putting everyone to sleep here.
Yeah, I'm wondering what exactly. I mean, of course the 𝗀𝗯's had. I feel like you just had. Maybe he doesn't run Tornado. I mean, we haven't seen it yet, so maybe not doing that. But yeah, I wonder why he's not killing the bird here. Does he not want to free swap out into something like that 𝗵𝗂𝗃 or something? It's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to be fair, Leal has to make something happen here. He's the one who's running out of Thames. But Magia's put himself in a position where he has to kill the pig. last, or he has to sack something. But Valorant can't kill it. Right now it's asleep. So that's out of the question. So this pig is actually going to get a couple more hits off just because it's walking around obnoxiously. Like, what do you really do without punishing yourself? Double gash is a solid committal there. So 40% damage, and the 𝗬𝗪𝗔 hasn't taken much, so it'll be fine. The 𝗬𝗪's awake and it has half its stamina bar up, so a suplex is available, and the 𝗲𝗏 is on the field as well. So we might see a double up on the 𝗬𝗪𝗔 spot just to get that out of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. But 𝗬𝗪𝗔 and 𝗕𝗓 tend to go first. Of course, the Crystal Spike will be going since it is 3 prior, but yeah, a P-jab hook kick, or just a hook kick uppercut staring straight into 𝗲𝗏𝗔's face, that will be gunning them down. And then it's going to be almost the entirety of 𝗏𝗂𝗪's squad versus this thick boy 𝗬𝗪. Is that enough though?
Hook kick the fall of 𝗲𝗏 secured into the bag. And yeah, as you mentioned, 𝗬𝗪 has to do it by himself. That's one. Let's see if we can get 3 more.
That is right. I mean, he took down the Crystal Temtem, so no toxic plumes anymore. The one thing about 𝗬𝗪, I mean, it could be a blessing and a curse though. It always gonna go last, so it's 100% HP 𝗬𝗪 with 1 Kinu buff. Can he get it done? You know, if this Machoke has tenderness, that would be GG. We haven't seen the Machoke with tenderness from 𝗏𝗂𝗪's side, so just gonna be gunning it down with some P-jabs.
Toxic plume as well. I mean, just taking it down bit by bit will be very solid. Also, Dashi committed. I guess he had... well, actually, he is Hibernate. So, no, he literally doesn't have any weaker ability. Everything costs half his stamina bar or more.
Yeah, he's running out of stamina, and man, this water coish is coming. You know, if he hibernates, he's gonna be frozen for the next 3 turns, so that's just free attacks. P-jab, WCL, P-jab, WCL, and that is P-jab number 2, so this WCL will be chunking. Oh!
Absolutely, water cannon instead. Just setting it up so that the toxic ticks will drop it below HP when the water CL finally kicks in. And look at that, 36%. If the WCL drops it below 12, it's pretty much game. You need at least 2 turns as this 𝗬𝗪. But that +1 speed that he put on that Machoke coming back to bite him in the butt real hard now.
Oh,
even if he gets it off, it's not gonna matter. Oh, hypnosis as well.
And wait, 𝗏𝗂𝗪𝗏 had an easy kill right there. P-jab into WCL, but hey, just a good old hypnosis for good measure. A little club banter right there, friendly banter. There's a hypnose for the Jaegers, but WCL to conclude the round number 1. 𝗬𝗪 falls, so Leal does fall down to the hands of Snrplat. So ladies and gents, Snrplat 1 game away from making history in our tournament series. And Naga, you have the water coins. So let's see, does Leal have the answers? So immediate bans. The Naga get the ban, and the Volrin will get the ban one more time. So maybe starting exactly the same way. This would be interesting.
Look, it's... Oh, I was gonna say it's on Luke. The ball is in Leal's court to mix it up, but he says, nah, the opening went perfectly fine. All as planned for me. So he stays the same. Now, I can't say this is a bad idea. Again, it went perfectly fine for him. At least the opening did. So we'll see what he changes as his backline to perhaps make this game a little bit more to swing in his favor, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes exactly the same way as the previous game, I mean, it was just WCL into Toxic Ink, that Kinu spot. Maybe Leal doesn't go for Turbo. Maybe goes for the sacrifice this turn. Perhaps, maybe that could change the tide of battle. So we will see. I mean, it looking like an identical roster so far. Leal had all these... Oh no, Snrplat had all these Temtems before. Oh no. He had a 𝗬𝗚 before, so did bought that chamomile 𝗬𝗚, so it might be the golds are getting picked up here, or depending if this 𝗲𝗡 get picked up, it could be the 𝗧𝗵𝗶 too.
Yeah, no 𝗲𝗡 yet. I would be very surprised if 𝗲𝗡 wasn't picked up here. Unless 𝗬𝗨 is the breadwinner, but we saw how easily 𝗬𝗚 navigated that, right? Just a single toxic plume. Oh, actually, no, sorry, correction, 𝗬𝗚 is gone. So that's out of the picture, actually. So if he wanted to, 𝗬𝗨 could just play for the 𝗬𝗨. No, he doesn't. Picks up 𝗲𝗡 instead. Just guarantees a secondary damage dealer, at least. But still, it won't be easy. He picks up the Naga as well, so foregoes the 𝗬𝗵𝗵 this time. Interesting.
Yeah, man, having that last pickup, you pick a Naga, we will pick the 𝗀𝗀𝗺. That is exactly what Snrplat. So game number 2 of our finals is Snrplat, as we keep saying, gonna make tournament history in these series, or does Leal have what it takes to bring things back around against the like of this tamer? We will see. So 𝗬𝗨 does get the Kinu buff right off the rip. So let's see, does it go down the exact same way as turn 1? Because we know the tendencies for Snrplat. WCL Toxic Ink, the Kinu survives at exactly 12 HP. Unless the Kinu becomes the pig now. Maybe that could be a little bit different.
Yeah, potentially. Could be something to keep in mind.
Yeah, just like save the Kinu, and then you have you can get another Kinu buff on the 𝗬𝗨. Because I mean, the game plan for Snrplat was ignore the 𝗬𝗨 the entire game. He didn't really attack into 𝗬𝗨 pretty much for the better part of the whole game. So his game plan is to gun down everything next to 𝗬𝗨 and then deal with 𝗬𝗨 at the very end, and it ended up working for him very well. So I don't think he's gonna stray away from that game plan too much. So let's see.
Yeah, 𝗏𝗬. I think 𝗏𝗬 has already locked in what he's going to do. WCL Toxic Ink on the Kinu spot. So Leal mixing it up here. So Kinu will be swapped out here for the 𝗲𝗡. So 𝗲𝗡 will be taking all that damage. I'm not sure how much I like that, but hey, gotta mix it up somehow. If the 𝗬𝗨 is gonna be your breadwinner, then the 𝗲𝗡 is gonna be sacked. So 𝗬𝗨 gonna take WCL. Show off is still following through. But if the Toxic Ink goes into the 𝗲𝗡 here, no, the triangle. So 𝗬𝗨 is getting committed on by 𝗏𝗬. So another WCL shouldn't kill. But now the 𝗲𝗡 has a really free madness buff now.
Yeah, not too shabby. Well played for Leal. I mean, calling the bluff there. So Snrplat saying, I'm not gonna dare do the same thing twice. That gives too much information to Leal. So now going into 𝗬𝗨, but look at the damage. Didn't get too much off, but instead 𝗲𝗡 coming back out for Kinu. I was thinking the 𝗬𝗨 for Kinu buffing up the 𝗲𝗡, but I guess the WCL a little bit too scary. Better to eat it with the Kinu, so does make sense. And WCL with that water synergy. Let's see where it's going. Okay, so well read.
Yeah, for sure. WCL just chunking as much damage as possible. At least for now. And I will say though, the 𝗬𝗨 becoming the breadwinner here, maybe, I'm not so sure, because the 𝗲𝗡 could have easily set up there as well, but Leal really playing for the swap-ins. Another WCL should follow, and that's all of 𝗂𝗀𝗆's stamina. So 𝗏𝗬 not stopping at all. He has not stopped putting the brakes on. Hibernate to follow as well, so all of that work is for nothing, and the 𝗂𝗀 overexerted for that.
Yeah, this is working out so beautifully for the side of Leal. It looks like Snrplat switching up that game plan, gunning down 𝗬𝗨, and as you said, all that work looking like not paying off one bit. 𝗬𝗨 back up to 80%, so all that for the first couple turns, and 𝗬𝗨 basically took 20% damage. one of impressive stuff, and it's at +2/+2, so that Koi's overexerting. 𝗀𝗨 has a heavy hitting 𝗧𝗵𝗶, or why was I gonna say 𝗧𝗵𝗆? A heavy hitting savage suplex, staring that left spot.
The crystal spikes to come through here, doing as much damage as it can do. 25% is not trivial, but there you go. There's a smack that matters. 𝗂𝗨 dropped to 28% HP, but the water jet to punish the 𝗲𝗏. The 𝗵𝗃 being swapped in here will be setting up for some damage.
Yeah, of course. I mean, 𝗲𝗏 is just here to get any kind of damage off. Is not the greatest into the team, especially without a madness buff. So I didn't catch blue. I don't know if you saw it as well. Was a crystal spike enough for 28%? I did not get to catch it.
The crystal spikes, no. I believe it did like 16 or 17%. Actually.
Okay. Yeah, I could definitely believe it. 𝗂𝗨, a tanky boy. So let's see. I mean, is it going to be a Keanu buff number 3? I mean, the whole name of the game has been buff up this big boy 𝗀𝗨. +3/+3. I don't think you could ever swap out a 𝗀𝗨 if it does come to that point.
Alright, so right now the 𝗂𝗨 probably gonna overexert here if it stays in, so gonna be swapped out for sure. 𝗂𝗀𝗄, I just realized he has 2 tanky boys to try and hold this out, so 𝗏𝗂𝗫 definitely gonna try and stall for a bit here, as the 𝗲𝗏 is gonna get a bit low. 𝗬𝗏𝗄 though going to be big, because the 𝗀𝗨 is now kind of forced out if it wants to keep its HP. 𝗂𝗏𝗃 to follow to do as much damage as it can do. 22%.
But yeah, that punching bag mitigating, mitigating that melee damage, so not too bad. And you know, 𝗀𝗄𝗄s have been so effective, so it's like a lose-lose for Luke, whether you swap out the 𝗀𝗨, lose all those crazy buffs, or you just gotta eat a 𝗀𝗄𝗄 to the face. And without Naga on the board, you don't pressure that 𝗵𝗃 whatsoever. The crystal spike did just a little bit above 25%. So let's see. I mean, Keanu coming in. Okay, so Keanu buff number 3.
For sure. Keanu getting swapped in, though. Perfect jab to do a little bit of damage. The Toxic Ink is going to be punishing. Ivernate to try and just nullify all of that toxic damage is going to be sustainable. And the Toxic Ink, yeah, that was going to happen. -1 defense is so big. And just immediately takes it out.
Man, if he was able to get a sacrifice, so somehow one of those attacks went into the other slot. Of course, 𝗏𝗃𝗫 most likely predicting the Keanu swap in there, so well done. But man, that sacrifice would have been beautiful, taking away the toxic ticks, taking away the frozen. Boy, it's still a +3/+3 𝗀𝗨 with no stamina, but those toxic ticks will start adding up, and as soon as those ticks are done, I could almost see another 𝗀𝗄𝗄 heading its way. Oh,
epic. And the bamboozle to purge off the poison. Very smart play there from the side of Leal. So, yeah, he's not afraid to really turn it up. But right now, 𝗏𝗃𝗫, like, if you look at the HP bars, he's not necessarily making any progress at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, not too much progress, but he's, you know, mitigating some damage. So that's pretty much 25% HP that he saved with that bamboozle. So not too shabby. Let's see, 𝗀𝗨 is still frozen. 𝗃𝗃𝗃 took the brunt of that 𝗀𝗄𝗄. Like I said, if Tornado is on the pig, I guess you could throw it over to 𝗂𝗨. Most likely, probably doesn't shut it down, even though it's just a 28%. 𝗃𝗃𝗃 doesn't look like it packs too much of a punch on Luke Leal's team. So we'll see. It looks like the pig or 𝗵𝗃 going for the simple P jab there.
𝗀𝗨 still frozen though, and the 𝗃𝗃𝗃 gonna take this poison ticks. Trying to, I mean, the 𝗃𝗃𝗃 will be one massive bomb if it manages to land it, but it's gonna be difficult to even commit to that, especially with Toxic Temtem still alive. The Yowler full health though is gonna be a massive threat. Suplex is gonna be very punishing in terms of damage on either of these Tem, but if you get a kill on 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗶, you potentially force out the other toxic Tems as well.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if Yowler had something like a 𝗬𝗵𝗶𝗶, I would definitely see this Yowler carrying the game, but just stamina is such a factor in this game. So has about a savage suplex, and that is it. So let's take a look. We haven't seen the pig do any offensive attacks, so maybe just running Relax, Bamboozle, Stonewall. And what else? Have we seen another attack? I mean, we never saw a Wind Burst. We never saw a Tornado.
Turbo. We haven't seen Turbo either, so I don't actually know the fourth move. I don't think I know the fourth move, at least. Unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, I don't think it's been revealed, so we'll keep a close eye. Okay, and yes, as we said, once Yurusho cleans up, it looks like it's going back at it again. Bamboozle keeping the pig rather safe for now. Savage suplex, outspeeding the 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗶. Alright, so maybe not the 1 SV, maybe the perfect 7 SV. Not too bad, but man, those toxic ticks, they don't have any feelings. No matter if you're already buffed up +3/+3, it's always gonna take you down little by little. And that's what 𝗏𝗂𝗽𝗏's game plan tends to be. Just slow and steady wins the race. And if this Yowler goes down, that is last hope for Leal. So I believe Savage Suplex was already used up. So I guess hibernate to Bamboozle again, but that doesn't make too much sense. We'll see if it goes on, but Noxious Bomb looking to take out the pig perfectly with the final toxic tick.
Unfortunate there. Oshidashi to punch through as much damage as it can do. 44% damage on the Vulnerend. And Relax as well, putting everything to sleep. But the pig should still die here. Wait, the Yowler will be awake because it took poison damage. So it's the only one awake, and it can hibernate to get rid of the toxic ticks. Oh.
Yeah, thinking ahead indeed. Not too bad. And 100% free madness buff for Nagas. Alright, wait a minute. Can Leal bring things back around? It is 3 Temtems versus the 4. I mean, madness buff is definitely free right now at 75%. As Psysurge one-shots the Machoke. Yowler being as slow as we all know him with Savage Suplex one-shots the Vulnerend. But wait, Blue. If you said hibernate this turn, he has to wait a lot. Let's see. I mean, it saves him a lot of HP, so maybe could be the play.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that if you let this Yowler go below 50%, you are susceptible to just Turbo Choreography HKS, and then you lose your ace you've been investing so much in, right? I mean, luckily, the Naga on the field means that you can Beta Burst this Machoke spot, and you're pretty much guaranteed to do a lot of damage, or you can Madness buff, and then Psysurge in the following turn.
Yeah, I think 100%. I like the Madness buff. You don't ever have a free Madness buff as you do right now. Last game, potentially risky, but this game feels okay. I believe there was a Strange Vest on it, so you're not going to take too much damage from the Noxious Bomb from the Vulnerend. So you could just continue to focus on that left side. But, you know, taking out Machoke does mean the Golder comes out. So maybe even with that Madness buff, Golder's just a little bit too slow. We'll see.
Yeah, not too easy to figure out.
Yeah, and running a little bit out of time, but the C Aura does indeed, or I mean, always online. But yeah, the golds are coming in just in case he wanted to just go for some offensive pressure out the rip, and it is a hibernate. Let's see how this works out for Leal.
Yep, it overexerted, but it also full healed, which is the big news. The Beta Burst to come through on the Golder. Now, Golder is faster than Naga here, which is the scary part, because now Naga is threatened by his worst fear.
Yeah, you're almost you're almost willing to sacrifice the 𝗏𝗏 just to preserve the Nagas, but at the end of the day, it's gonna end up being this exact matchup. Not, you know, 𝗏𝗏 goes down, Nagas has to stare down a 𝗏𝗂𝗍, 𝗏𝗀𝗪, 𝗏𝗏𝗀, and this 𝗂𝘀 in the back line. I feel like Snrplat still looking good, especially Leal can't do anything for the next 2 turns. I mean, he can recover stamina, so that's the idea there for Leal. But if this 𝗏𝗂𝗍 just comes out one more time for either the bird or the 𝗏𝗀𝗪, that's another 𝗬𝗪, so you know, 88%, -50 for the next couple turns. Let's see. I mean, it's so neck and neck. I mean, Leal playing it as best he can against a team like Matt.
𝗏𝗏 does swap in, so 𝗏𝗏 is in fact getting sacked for this, which is surprising to me. This, I mean, yeah, as you mentioned, that this might be not the best play here, but wait a minute, does 𝗏𝗏 die here? No, it doesn't! 𝗏𝗏 gets a spike off, so not the worst, but definitely not the best.
Yeah, I mean, you're just hoping for any kind of damage here. So yeah, a crystal spike onto the 𝗏𝗀𝗪 doesn't feel all that bad. And yeah, damage is damage. You got to take those. But man, hoping, I think Leal's praying that Leal coming back online next turn, able to clean up the 𝗏𝗪 before the Toxic connecting. But you know, thinking a couple turns again, 𝗏𝗂𝗍 could come in next turn. After that, 𝗬𝗪 the Leal one more time, unless the side surge is saved specifically for the 𝗏𝗂𝗍. I think that's the one win condition for the side of Leal, saving that. Oh, okay, yeah, of course, 𝗏𝗏 dies. I was about to say, wait a minute, did 𝗏𝗏 live one time?
Nah, for sure. 𝗏𝗏 guaranteed dead here, so focusing on the Leal is the smart decision because Leal still has to kill 4 Tems. He is not making any progress.
And yeah, somehow it is still close. I mean, he's definitely made progress taking down the HP of 𝗏𝗍𝗪's Temtems. But yeah, almost, you know, that's how 𝗏𝗍𝗪's team makes you feel sometimes, that you haven't really done too much, but he's definitely done a good fair amount. But this is it, guys. Last 2 Temtems for the side of Leal. Can a +3/+3 Leal and this Deceit or Nagas do the deed? As you said earlier, 𝗏𝗀𝗪 always goes first. Side Surge is online. If it was like a 1 prio clinch and Side Surge maybe, but I think 𝗏𝗀𝗪 is just so slow with that 1 SV and speed that even those 1 prio plays still won't underspeed Naga. So let's see what goes down.
Yeah, Toxic Ink still goes first. This Naga will have to do a lot with very little. Oshidashi to punch the 𝗏𝗀𝗪 into another game. And the beta burst should kill it. Secured the kill. But you know what else is secured here? The Volrend with that Noxious Bomb to kill the Naga. This is almost a guarantee. And there it is. The Naga is now dead for certain. And this Leal has to fight 3 Tems by its lonesome. One of which is still a 𝗏𝗂𝗍𝗪 with a Rawrzyyy.
That is right, and man, Leal was starting off so hot. Hey, it was impressive plays, buffing out the Leal, but at the end of the day, Snrplat will be making history in our tournament series. The first person to ever go 8 tournament championships under his belt. 𝗏𝗍𝗪, he's built different, guys. He is built different in the house. 𝗏𝗍𝗪 taking it down. And congratulations. Oh, Leal living on 1 HP.
Just Leal refuses to die, but finally he gets there, and 𝗏𝗍𝗪 will be taking his 8th weekly tournament.
That